Welcome to CrimePod Castle's Twisted Love series. You know, today we're diving deep into a case that'll leave you chilled to the bone. The Mumbai Divorce Settlement Murder. Just picture this. A couple in the middle of a divorce. Tensions are running super high over money, and then tragedy strikes. That's exactly what we're going to unpack today. It's a story of a marriage gone terribly wrong.
It's definitely a case that reminds us how quickly love can turn sour, especially when you throw financial pressures and deep-seated resentments into the mix.
Okay, so let's set the stage. We're in Mumbai 2020. The city's vibrant. It's full of dreams and ambition. But beneath the surface, a storm is brewing. In the lives of Neha Gupta and Rohan Mehra, Neha, a successful businesswoman, was making waves in event management. Rohan, her husband of 7 years, was an entrepreneur struggling to keep his startup afloat.
Yeah, this financial disparity. It often creates an imbalance in a relationship, leading to resentment and a struggle for control.
And that's where things get complicated. Their decision to divorce, initially amicable, turned bitter when conversations about splitting assets began, including a lavish Mumbai apartment.
It's almost as if the financial negotiations become a battleground. For these deeper emotional issues, who gets what? Who's been contributing more? These questions can unearth a lot of resentment and anger.
Absolutely. And as the financial disputes escalated, so did the tension between Neha and Rohan. Friends and family noticed a shift, reporting heated arguments, and even alleged threats from Rohan. This wasn't just a divorce, it was a relationship imploding.
What's crucial here is that these warning signs, the escalating hostility and threats, are often overlooked or downplayed. These can be powerful indicators of a situation that could potentially turn violent.
And tragically, that's precisely what happened. On the evening of September 10, 2020, Neha was found murdered in her apartment.
It was her housekeeper who made the horrifying discovery. Neha was found with multiple stab wounds, signs of a struggle were evident, and some items, including divorce-related documents, were missing.
Initially, the police considered robbery as a motive. But as they dug deeper, the evidence pointed towards something far more sinister, a more personal motive.
The focus shifted to Rohan, whose history of threats and growing anger towards Neha made him the prime suspect. And as the investigation progressed, a trail of evidence started to emerge, painting a disturbing picture of what might have transpired that night.
So let's delve into the investigation. What were some of the key elements that led the police to zero in on Rohan as the primary suspect?
Well, the forensic evidence played a crucial role. Rohan's fingerprints were found on a broken vase at the crime scene, the suspected murder weapon. His DNA was also found in bloodstains on Neha's clothing. This physical evidence directly linked him to the crime scene and to Neha during the time of her death.
And then there was the digital trail, a modern-day footprint that's becoming increasingly crucial in criminal investigations. Threatening text messages from Rohan to Neha were retrieved from her phone.
One message in particular sent chills down my spine. It read, "You'll regret this." These weren't just angry texts. They were clear indicators of his state of mind leading up to the murder.
It's terrifying how technology can capture such raw emotions and intentions, isn't it? But it wasn't just the physical and digital evidence. That pointed towards Rohan. There were also witness accounts that corroborated the mounting suspicion.
Absolutely. Neighbors reported hearing a heated argument coming from Neha's apartment on the night of the murder, and security footage from the building confirmed that Rohan visited her apartment during that time frame.
So we have forensic evidence, digital evidence, and witness testimonies, all converging on Rohan. It was only a matter of time before the police caught up with him.
And they did. Within 48 hours of the murder, Rohan was apprehended at a friend's farmhouse outside Mumbai. Initially, he denied any involvement, but the evidence against him was overwhelming.
He eventually confessed, claiming he acted in a moment of rage, a statement that would become a focal point of the trial. But can a crime as calculated as this truly be attributed to a single impulsive act? Or was there something more, something darker at play?
That's the question that would unravel in the courtroom, as the Mumbai Divorce Settlement Murder case, with its high-profile nature and shocking betrayal, gripped the nation's attention. They tried to, shift the focus from cold-blooded murder to a crime of passion, arguing that Rohan's actions were driven by, a temporary loss of control rather than malicious intent.
So we have these two conflicting narratives, two very different interpretations of the same tragic events. What did the court ultimately decide? How did they weigh the evidence and the arguments presented?
In mid-2021, the verdict was delivered. Rohan Mehra was convicted of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. The court, in its judgment, rejected the defense's plea for leniency, emphasizing the calculated nature of the crime and the devastating impact it had on Neha's family and loved ones.
It must have been a heart-wrenching moment for Neha's family, a bittersweet victory, tinged with the profound sadness of losing her in such a horrific way.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that while the legal system can deliver justice, it can't erase the pain and loss caused by such a tragedy. The scars of this event will likely stay with Neha's loved ones forever.
Her story is a stark reminder of how quickly love can turn to hate and how unresolved conflicts, especially those intertwined with financial disputes, can escalate into violence with devastating consequences.
What's truly heartbreaking in this case is that it reflects a broader societal issue. How do we as a society address the toxic dynamics that often emerge during contentious divorces? How can we better equip individuals going through such difficult times with the emotional and legal support they need to navigate these challenging situations without resorting to violence?
These are incredibly important questions. The Mumbai Divorce Settlement Murder case serves as a chilling wake-up call, urging us to examine how we as a society approach divorce and the emotional turmoil that often accompanies it.
We need to move beyond simply focusing on the legal and financial aspects of separation and acknowledge the profound emotional and psychological toll these situations take on individuals. Perhaps incorporating mediation or counseling as a mandatory part of the divorce process could help address these underlying emotional and psychological issues, offering a space for couples to process their anger, hurt, and anxieties in a healthy way.
It's a thought-provoking idea. By providing a structured environment for open communication and emotional processing, perhaps we can prevent situations from escalating to such tragic ends. What do you think about the role of societal pressures and financial disputes in escalating personal conflicts, particularly in the context of divorce?
Well, money often represents power, control, and security in the context of a divorce, especially one where there are significant financial disparities between partners. These issues can become amplified. One partner may feel entitled to a certain level of financial support, while the other may feel resentful or burdened by those demands. These feelings, when left unaddressed, can fester and contribute to a toxic environment, where rational communication breaks down and aggression takes over.
It's like money becomes a symbol of the power dynamics at play, a tangible representation of who holds the upper hand, even as the relationship crumbles. And when one partner feels they're losing control, it can trigger a dangerous escalation.
Precisely. Add to that the societal pressures surrounding divorce, like the stigma, the financial implications, and the fear of judgment. And it creates a perfect storm of emotional turmoil that can in some cases manifest in violence.
It's a complex web of factors, isn't it? This case highlights the need for a more nuanced approach to divorce proceedings, one that recognizes and addresses the emotional and psychological toll these situations take on individuals.
I couldn't agree more. We need to move beyond the legal and financial aspects of separation and focus on fostering healthy communication, promoting empathy, and equipping individuals with the tools they need to navigate these challenging transitions with as little emotional damage as possible.
We discussed the complexities of the legal process and the financial implications. But let's shift our focus to the emotional and psychological well-being of those involved in such cases. How can we better equip people to navigate the turmoil of divorce without resorting to aggression or violence?
That's where resources like counseling, mediation, and support groups become crucial. These services can provide a safe space for individuals to process their emotions, develop coping mechanisms, and learn healthy communication strategies. It's about empowering people to navigate the complexities of divorce without resorting to destructive behaviors.
It's about recognizing that divorce isn't just a legal process. It's a profound life transition that requires emotional and psychological support. We need to destigmatize seeking help during these times and make resources readily accessible to those who need them.
Absolutely. It's about fostering a culture where vulnerability is seen as strength and where seeking help is encouraged, not shamed. We need to normalize conversations about the emotional challenges of divorce and provide the necessary support systems to help people navigate this difficult chapter in their lives.
Neha's story, as tragic as it is, can serve as a catalyst for change. It highlights the need for greater awareness, prevention strategies, and support systems for victims of domestic violence and for those navigating the complexities of divorce. It reminds us that behind the legal proceedings and financial disputes, there are real people grappling with intense emotions. And those emotions, if left unchecked, can have devastating consequences.
It's a call to action, a plea to recognize the human cost of these situations, and to work towards creating a society where such tragedies are not just mourned, but actively prevented. It's about understanding that while we can't always predict or control the actions of others, we can create environments that foster empathy, promote healthy communication, and prioritize the well-being of all individuals.
And perhaps in doing so, we can honor Neha's memory by working towards a future where love doesn't have to end in such tragic and violent ways.
A future where every relationship, even those that end, can leave behind a legacy of respect, understanding, and compassion, rather than one of pain and loss.
Before we conclude this deep dive, I want to touch on a crucial aspect that we often overlook in such cases: the impact on the perpetrator's family and friends. They, too, experience a profound sense of loss, confusion, and guilt. How do you think they navigate the aftermath of such a crime?
It's an incredibly complex and challenging situation for them. They're grappling with the horrifying realization that someone they loved and trusted was capable of such a horrific act. The shock, the disbelief, the shame, it can be overwhelming.
It's almost as if they're grieving two losses: the loss of the victim and the loss of the person they thought they knew. It's a double blow, a shattering of their reality.
And there's often a profound sense of guilt. Could I have done something to prevent this? Did I miss the warning signs? How could I not have known? These questions can haunt them for years to come.
It's important to remember that they, too, are victims in this tragedy. They need support, understanding, and compassion as they navigate their own journey of healing and reconciliation.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that everyone involved in such a case is impacted, directly or indirectly. And while we rightly focus on justice for the victim and support for their loved ones, we must also acknowledge the complex and often overlooked struggles of those connected to the perpetrator.
It's about fostering a culture of empathy. That extends to all those affected by these tragic events, recognizing that healing and reconciliation are multifaceted processes that require compassion, understanding, and support.
It's about creating a space where we can acknowledge the complexities of these situations, where we can have these difficult conversations, and where we can work towards a future where violence is not the answer, and where every individual feels seen, heard, and supported.
It's about recognizing the humanity in everyone involved, even in the face of such darkness. But shifting our focus back to the broader implications of this case, what lessons can we as a society learn from the Mumbai Divorce Settlement Murder?
I think one of the key takeaways is the importance of addressing the toxic dynamics that can arise during divorce proceedings. We often focus on the legal and financial aspects, but the emotional and psychological toll can be just as devastating, if not more so.
It's about acknowledging that divorce isn't just a legal process, it's a profound life transition. That can trigger a roller coaster of emotions: anger, grief, betrayal, fear. And when those emotions aren't addressed in a healthy way, they can fester and potentially lead to destructive behaviors.
Exactly. We need to create a more holistic approach to divorce, one that incorporates emotional support and conflict resolution strategies, alongside the legal proceedings, mediation, counseling, support groups. These resources can provide a crucial safety net for individuals struggling to navigate this challenging transition.
It's about recognizing that while the legal system focuses on dividing assets and establishing custody arrangements, there's a parallel need to address the emotional well-being of all parties involved, perhaps incorporating mandatory counseling or mediation sessions as part of the divorce process. Could be a step in the right direction.
That's an excellent point. Early intervention and access to professional guidance could make a significant difference in helping individuals process their emotions, develop coping mechanisms, and learn healthy communication strategies.
It's about shifting the focus from winning and losing to healing and moving forward in a constructive way. Another crucial lesson, I think, is the importance of recognizing and addressing the warning signs of domestic violence. In Neha's case, there were reports of escalating arguments, threats, and a growing sense of fear among her friends and family. Those red flags unfortunately went unheeded.
Yeah, that's a common thread. In many cases of domestic violence, the warning signs are often there, but they're either dismissed or minimized. We as a society need to become more attuned to these red flags and create a culture where speaking up and seeking help is encouraged, not stigmatized.
It's about empowering victims to recognize that they're not alone, that help is available, and that they deserve to live a life free from fear and abuse. We need to educate ourselves about the patterns of domestic violence, the subtle and not so subtle signs, and the resources available to support victims.
And it's not just about recognizing the signs in others, it's about being introspective and addressing any potential for aggression. or controlling behavior within ourselves. It's about fostering healthy communication, respecting boundaries, and seeking help when we're struggling. To manage our emotions in a constructive way.
It's about taking responsibility for our actions and creating a culture of accountability where violence is never tolerated or excused. But on a more practical level, what steps can we take to prevent tragedies like this from happening again?
Well, there are a number of things we can do. First and foremost, we need to invest in prevention programs that address the root causes of domestic violence, gender inequality, power imbalances, social norms that condone aggression. These programs should focus on educating young people about healthy relationships, conflict resolution, and the importance of respect and equality.
It's about creating a societal shift where violence is no longer seen as an acceptable way to resolve conflicts or assert control. And alongside prevention, we need to strengthen our support systems for victims. This includes providing accessible and affordable counseling services, legal aid, safe housing options, and 247 hotlines for those in immediate danger.
It's about creating a safety net that catches those who are falling and empowers them to rebuild their lives. And finally, we need to hold perpetrators accountable for their actions. This means ensuring that law enforcement takes domestic violence reports seriously, that prosecutors pursue cases vigorously, and that the justice system provides appropriate consequences. For those who engage in this type of abuse,
It's about sending a clear message that violence is never acceptable, and that those who choose to inflict harm on others will be held responsible for their actions. So while the Mumbai Divorce Settlement Murder case serves as a chilling reminder of the devastating consequences of unresolved conflicts and unchecked aggression, it also presents an opportunity for us to learn to grow and to work towards a future where such tragedies are not just mourned, but actively prevented.
it's a call to action for each and every one of us to examine our own beliefs and behaviors, to challenge societal norms that condone violence, and to create a world where love, respect, and empathy prevail.
A world where every individual feels safe, valued, and empowered to live a life free from fear. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Mumbai Divorce Settlement Murder. We hope that by examining this tragic case, we can all contribute to a future where love doesn't have to end in such devastating ways. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to CrimePod Castle and our YouTube channel for more thought-provoking deep dives into the complexities of human behavior and the criminal justice system. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and as always, stay vigilant.